that يعني the sound like somehow called me يعني.
Kind of like a feeling of being called to the land. Like, where was that? Was that where you grew up? Was or clay? Or was it just
No, I grew up
nature?
in Alexandria. It was my main art practice, and I'm sculpting with clay.
Hmm.
So I felt there was a deep connection between me and clay. And I was wondering what if clay could speak and use my hand to express itself,
Hmm.
because I feel like artists use the clay to sculpt what they want to express. So how it could be the otherwise or the other way. So it started for the first instrument, and then I felt the sound of the clay instrument. I hear it as a calling,
Hmm.
so I kept following the sound and make another instrument and so on. Uh, so yeah.
That you could hear from the clay. Was that you said was the drum sound, or was it something? Could you hear like? Was it like
Mhm.
clear? Was it clear audio where you like hear it, or was it just like a beat, or how?
Like in my biography, that I have a connection with the water, like the sea and the Nile, but mainly the earth next to the water. I grew up in Alexandria. My father grew up in Alexandria, but my ancestors is Nubian, like my grandfather, my grandmother. Um, so yeah, and I feel that there's a deep connection in my how I don't know how I was created. That there is somehow a bit of connection to clay and earth in me. So yeah.
I love that in the arts. And do you feel like there has been any challenges, or as far as your
Hmm.
with expression, or
Yeah. And I know that this is internationally, yani, all artists struggling everywhere in the world to define that the one person is an artist and how to do that and how to keep balanced in life. And also, it's more challenging here. I know it's the same from different artists all over, yani, different countries, in Egypt and abroad. I know it's not an easy thing at all. Uh, and I don't feel that there's more challenges for a woman artist. I know it could be, but I didn't experience it that way. It's just that I'm an artist. Or being an engineer is straightforward. Even being yani, policeman, it's all knows how to do it. But like being an artist is something no one have a guidance for it. So just you go and explore yourself and what the art you are doing and other people reaction and interaction with it and so on. So I think it's يعني being an artist itself has some bit of challenges.
oh yeah,
And
certain expectations, or if you're a doctor, you do this, and if you're this, you're this. So I guess like you're saying, is being an artist is such a unexplored territory in a certain way that it gives you maybe freedom. Is that you feel like it gives you more freedom because there is no like pattern or that you're supposed to adhere to, because it's just being an artist is a form of self-expression anyway, so it gives
mm,
you less
mm,
restraints, so maybe you find.
out of the art, but it's just one of the main things I feel myself through, uh, to get in touch with my feelings, with my yeah, experiences in that artistic way. So in art, I'm not just looking for freedom. I'm looking for a connection with myself and with the
which is
life
a for, which is
outside
a
of me.
which is a form of freedom, because
Could
in ourselves through many things, through our art, through our clothing, um, through so many ways of self-expression. So I'm always interested, um, connecting with people, how that is, how does it show up in their work, and how they're. And so I think that's very interesting. It says a lot about you that you um, don't necessarily see that as a challenge, or maybe you're just so free that you don't see the restraints.
and then in 2017, I decided that it will be my graduation project from the ceramic sculpture from Fine Arts. here in Alexandria. And it wasn't easy because I didn't find any other sculptor, music maker who in Egypt making instruments from clay.
Yeah.
And I thought that there is ancient Egyptian instruments out of clay because it was there everywhere, but I didn't find. There's just the shokhsheikha, I think its name, which relevant to Hatpur,
Yeah, the
the
sistrum.
curved one. Yeah,
Yes.
it was the only one I find. So it was a long and hard research because there was no references. And so it depends on a lot of things that the sound changed. And they have different sounds. Like the most of the flutes have like more windy sounds, like really calling, and there was some has a very bass sounds. Um,
Was given to me from an old man in Mexico, Teotihuacan, which is near their pyramids,
okay.
and it's little handmade clay. And I'll show you how.
Yeah.
So you.
Yeah. Yeah. Somehow, يعني we call it tambura because it's inspired of the simsimiyya and the Sudanese tambura or the Nubian tambura,
Okay.
tambur, and the simsimiyya. So yeah, I called her tambura.
Okay.
To really keep hearing the sounds.
Lovely.
And what with sound healing?
It depends. It depends on the on whenever I combine it with my shamanic work. So when I go into the session, I go into trance, and then I get certain directives and certain energy, and so I kind of work based on that, which is
Mm.
very. So I really can't plan for it. I can't.
Mm.
A lot of the work, my practice is changing so much. It's changed a lot since I've been here in Egypt, where I fast for 3 days and I start receiving visions and dreams for the person. So that leads up to
Mm.
it as well. And um, and so a lot of it I've noticed is becoming more and more dependent on my voice and things versus having so much before. I was so excited after sound healing. I wanted to have all these instruments and play them. And then it's interesting that I end up coming back to the most basic, the voice and humming. Humming is really good. It's like an internal massage for the nervous
Mm.
system. So I'm always teaching people how to hum. Babies hum when they're content. They're just.
Mm.
And you can even do that as like close your eyes and hum, and then allow your body, your energy to go up and down as like an energy
Mm.
check to check into yourself, or as a grounding practice.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I have drums. I have like a buffalo drum that's got a deeper. I love very deep bass sounds that are just very grounding. Um, and I have koshi chimes, which are really nice. They're from Japan, and they just very magical, like a wind chime, you know.
Mm.
Um,
It has like tubes. Oh, okay.
has the tube, and just inside as the chimes, it hits the different. Um, makes really just very nice. And I have one in like a major and one in minor. So the minor kind of, when I'm working with children, I'm like, okay, which one it makes you feel happy? Which one makes you feel sad? And they're really good about. They love to be interactive and to
Okay.
point that out. So it helps you to kind of move the same way that we would listen to a sad song to help us,
Mm-hmm.
feel those trapped emotions that we don't know how to get them out. So in that session, it's like we're guiding them on a sound journey to release those trapped emotions maybe that are
Mm-hmm.
hiding there, that are wanting to, to give it, to free it from the body, I guess. So, and that's kind of the thing with working with the voice. It's like how to give shape to sound, you know.
Mm.
It's a very interesting practice, especially for many people, many like myself. I had a choir teacher that told me, you can't sing, you can't. So I, for years, was just like, scared to death to sing in front of anyone. And I hated my voice. I hated the sound of my voice. And then it was as I got older and doing all this work, people were saying, oh, you should start a podcast, and oh, you should do meditations, all this stuff. And I thought, oh, my
Mm.
voice is terrible. But the more I started listening and connecting with it, wow, actually, when I would hear my voice, it kind of does sound kind of
Mm-hmm.
calming and grounding. And, the things I used to judge it for sounding, because, girls are typically like, hey, like
Mm.
Kim Kardashian,
Mm-hmm.
they have this, they put femininity as this,
Mm-hmm.
very high pitched voice. And so when you have something that's a lower frequency, perceived as not feminine, it's interesting the judgments around that, but how it
Mm.
actually became such a gift for me,
Mm.
once I was able to accept it and appreciate it.
Yeah.
I did study. I played piano, classical piano,
Before or once you decided to?
when I was young,
Ah,
when I
okay.
was 6 years old, I think played for maybe a year or two, and then as a teenager, I wanted to play guitar. I wanted to play electric guitar. I loved blues, and my parents got me an acoustic because that's what you're supposed to do, and I hated it. I was like, it was hard on my fingers. I had steel strings, and I played for maybe a year, and then I ended up,
Mm-hmm.
just and
Mm.
but in the sound healing school that we had to study music theory as well. So we had
Mm.
teachers, and we had singing teachers. We had to, we had singing classes. It was a very
Mm.
intense, very difficult program. But at the end of it, it was like, wow, all of these different
Okay.
healers, musicians, doctors, scientists, like physics, I
Mm.
mean, everything, even to sacred geometry, the study of design and how that is.
Mm.
And we had to study Islamic art because that's very, um, the patterns, the sequences
Mm.
of like the golden ratio and how all these things, how design affects our body through sight, and everything is vibration. So how that
Mm.
creates, or
Is
like mantras or yantras, in how you'll see that and how it affects the body.
mm. I'm not sure also if I know that shamanic very well, but you could.
Yeah. So it's our most powerful tool, and the body doesn't really lie. It's the most honest. When our mind will play tricks on us and things, the body really is the most honest. So it's about really being honest with yourself and tapping into that, what you're feeling. And then one of the practices, a lot of people you can do what's called sounding, which is like, you know, doing like a scan of your body, and with your voice you can make sounds, you can make animal noises, you can
Mm.
so I also come from a shamanic background, which is using sound and working with nature, animals, in a way that helps um, to move energy in the body. And so part of that is um, sometimes a place where you're connecting and you're making like the animal sounds of the, learning the different bird calls or the sounds of nature. And um, so sounding, it kind of helps you to get past that self-conscious of like, oh, I'm scared of people are going to think I'm crazy, or that self-criticism that we have um, about what our needs are. I mean, one of the biggest things is many of us as children, we weren't taught that we were allowed to have needs. And so being honest with yourself is like, what are my needs? Well, my needs are, I really feel like if I'm honest with myself, I need a hug. And
Mm.
so how can I provide that for myself? And you can do, holding yourself, rubbing. There's many somatic things that you can do to help ground your nervous system. So we studied a lot about the parasympathetic nervous system and the vagus nerve in the body. Um, so it's kind of learning what musical instruments stimulate what parts of the body and the brain as well. So learning that, you can learn what instruments are good for soothing the body, because some people are very stressed out and they need grounding, so they need lower frequency, they need like the earth,
Mm.
Schumann resonance is 7.86. It's like a very low frequency that's grounding. Whereas somebody that might be suffering from anxiety, or if they're depression, and they might need some stimulation, so they need a higher frequency to stimulate and open them up, you know. So it's about um,
Mm.
learning the different,
Mm.
and really it's just you learning to listen to your own body.